So I just saw Da Batman, and it was decent. There are parts of it that I really loved, but I definitely did not connect with everything. What I loved most about this movie was the visuals. It was a particularly well-shot film with some interesting lighting choices. It had a very purposeful and consistent look that helped set the tone for the film. Speaking of tone, I really enjoyed their usage of the song Something in the Way by Nirvana. It was a perfect choice that effectively communicated what type of movie they were going for. The way in which it was used was also very appropriate. The amount that it was played was the perfect amount for the film. The original score for the film was also pretty great, and it fit the film perfectly. Or at least that's how I felt at the beginning of the film. About an hour into the film, I still enjoyed the score, just not as much, and by the end of the film, I could not stand it. They were just spamming the same two notes the entire movie. Now, if this score was a specific theme that was used in specific contexts, then maybe it would have lasted throughout the film a bit better, but the movie's 3 hours long and they were playing it the entire time. Sure, they had different versions where it was different instruments playing those same two notes, but over the course of 3 hours, it was impossible not to get sick of it. Overall, the length of this film is what hurts it the most for me, and there are certainly 3-hour films that I really love, but the reason why the length was such an issue for me in this particular film is because the entire experience is just so one note, or shall I say two notes. This entire movie is just essentially the same tone, the same experiences. It's pretty consistent throughout and doesn't change or evolve much. Sure, the story technically progresses, but not in a way that justifies this runtime. A lot of this movie is like a David Fincher murder mystery. Batman shows up and tries to solve a bunch of clues because there's a murderer. It's the Riddler, and he's murdering people. And it's like some 7 Zodiac jigsaw shit. And when each of these riddles got solved, it always felt so unsatisfying. It felt like more often than not, Batman would find the answer to a clue only because he just happened to be communicating with or standing next to someone that knew more about it than him. Like, oh, good thing I just happened to be next to you so you could give me that eureka moment right now. It felt kind of repetitive and underwhelming, personally. This movie is well made and interesting, just not interesting enough to last for 3 hours for me. Spoiler talk now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then click to the timestamp later in the video. Thank you. Andy Serkis was kind of distracting. I was not a huge fan of his presence in the film. It was weird how his character's existence just felt so obligatory and didn't really add anything to the film. And the way that bomb scene was edited was so fucking dishonest and manipulative. Oh, we cut the film to make it look like it's happening right now, but this actually happened earlier? That's some Saw sequel type shit. And then it turns out there wasn't any real consequence to it. He's just fine anyway. He'll probably show up in the next movie. Okay. Paul Dano, I was not a big fan of what he was doing here. When he had the mask on, it was acceptable. What he was doing was like pretty standard. But during the interrogation scene, when his mask comes off, it was legitimately awful. It was legitimately awful. I understand that he is going for some sort of like weird incel thing, but the film is clearly trying to communicate some level of fear and intimidation, right? It shouldn't have been hilarious, right? When he started singing Ave Maria in falsetto, I almost lost my shit. Ave Maria. It's so weird. They were very clearly trying to emulate some of the same feelings of the Nolan films with this character. The whole crazy interrogation thing, the whole take videos of yourself and send it to the news to intimidate Batman thing. It's doing a few of the same things, and after a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, what can you do? Like, it's inevitable that people are going to compare this to The Dark Knight, I guess. But man, it really misses the mark on some of these. The interrogation scene was legitimately awful. There are no other legitimately awful scenes in this movie for me, but that was legitimately awful. Robert Pattinson did a great job. I had no issues with his character and how he portrayed the Batman. Colin Farrell was fantastic. I wouldn't have even known it was him if I hadn't heard that it was him under the makeup. The makeup was fucking fantastic. I loved that. There's some really great shots and sequences in this film. But yeah, after having seen it a couple weeks ago now, really the only thing that's left with me is more or less just the tone, which I really loved. I mean, the look and feel of this movie is great. But yeah, none of the set pieces really stuck with me. None of the action sequences really stuck with me. I remember there were some really great shots during the car chase sequence. I also remember that the Penguin successfully brake-checked a gigantic tanker truck while he was in his Maserati, and the truck crashed and he didn't, and that was weird, and the ramp came out of nowhere for Batman. Like, oh, that was really, really fucking weird. Like, sure, yeah, it's a comic book movie. It's gonna be cheesy or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But it does kind of stick out for me in a movie that's this seriously tone. And yeah, at the end of the movie where Batman's almost done for, but the villain's like, I'm gonna bring my shotgun to your head very slowly instead of taking the opportunity to kill you right now. I want this to take longer right now for some reason. Oh, what's gonna happen to Batman? Is he gonna die at the end of the movie, or is Catwoman just gonna jump out at, oh, she saved him. Cool. Kinda cheese. I don't really get anything out of that type of thing. Anyway, as previously anticipated, this movie wasn't exactly my thing, but I do give it props for being very well shot, well made, and at times purposeful and unique. There's a lot that I loved about this movie. I just did not love it enough to last for 3 hours. So check this one out if you want. It is probably my favorite Matt Reeves film. I've never really connected with one of his movies. I know a lot of people do, so use that for your own judgment. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Why can't I shoot?
You gotta believe.
What the fuck?
You've got to believe.
What the fuck?
Oh, this is going super poorly.
What's going on? I can't move. I can't move. I can't do anything. Okay.
That's all.
It won't even give me the end screen.
No, you gotta wait. The bike has to finish.
What the fuck?
The bike has to come to a full and complete stop. Fuck face. See?
Up.